Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your driver's license is important so you can get back and forth to work, get your kids to school, and back and forth to daycare. If your license has been suspended because you can't pay your tickets, you can't do any of those things. Let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may have heard that tickets cannot be discharged, but they can be dealt with in a Chapter 13 case. Why not come in for a free consultation? The chapter you choose will make all the difference to your getting back, legally, on the road. Let's design a plan to pay off your tickets and restore your license immediately. I'm attorney Travis Gagne. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. I've got a new survey. Turns out that more than half of millennials say they're currently going through a quarter-life crisis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So your daughter's a millennial, right?
Yeah, she is. So's Danny.
Yeah. All right, so Danny and daughter.
Joey D's, come on in here, too. All right, a quarter-life crisis. Now, midlife crises, we know what those are all about.
Right, that's when you go get a convertible.
Yeah.
You get some hair plugs.
That's what you do.
And you drive around.
I never heard of a quarter-life crisis. Is this a new thing that's just hitting the millennial generation?
25-ish? Is that what you think? 25, between 25 and 30?
It's got to be because, I mean, if you're living to 100, which, a lot more people are, that would be a quarter life, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so say 25 to 30 years old.
I'm going to live to 120-something, so I'm in a quarter-life crisis right now.
Are you?
Yes.
You're in a quarter-life crisis?
Absolutely.
The technology's going to keep you going?
Yes.
Yeah.
I might not be a body, but I will be a brain.
Ooh, the Steve brain floating.
That's right, in a VR world.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, listen, man, that's not too shabby.
Let's check with your daughter. Is she experiencing a quarter-life crisis right now?
Oh, Sarah.
Oh, hey. No, not yet. But I definitely think it's going to be coming. Probably a little bit closer to my 30s. I've already warned Johnny Rubbers about it. He better try to keep me sane. Because I think I'm probably going to go through one.
What's the big fear?
I don't know if Dad gets canned. What am I going to do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where's your meal ticket?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is she going to do with her life?
Yeah.
Does that feel weird that you're worried about if your father doesn't have a job, that means you've lost your job?
It's the truth. Let's get real, So, no, it's not weird. I love it, really. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people my age, especially being a female, I think we go through that whole, not what are we doing with our lives, but also, am I going to find a man? Am I going to get married? Our clocks are ticking,
Yeah, if you want to have a family, I get it, because, once you get into 30 years old and you don't have kids yet that you got to think,
there's that pressure.
Is that something I want to do?
Or getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got Johnny Rubbers at least.
At least I got a man.
Yeah, she's
Has he got a job, or does Dad need to give him a job too?
He's got a job.
Okay.
He's got a job.
Yeah, Johnny Rubbers has got a good job. He's a hardworking dude. And,
nice.
The first time I've dated someone like that.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Is that in jail?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Usually we're both feeding off Dad's money, but...
Yeah, not Johnny Rubbers, man. He's never asked me for a dime.
Clearly, I'm not very good at math. This person said if you live to 120-something, that's a third-life crisis, not a quarter-life crisis, Steve. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Math!
None of us caught you either, so...
No, clearly I'm not the only idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Sarah, I'm wondering about my son, who I don't know what he measures milestones on, because he's definitely atypical when it comes to what you'd expect for somebody getting close to 30. He doesn't seem to be unhappy. I know that, but he doesn't tell me anything. He could be very unhappy. How would I know? I don't talk to him.
No, I got no crisis, man. I'm too laid back for that stuff. People freaking out. They want to have kids. They want a house. I'm like, yeah, just relax.
Yeah,
enjoy it while you're young.
You don't freak out about anything.
No.
Nothing. I think I got all of that.
So is there no fear of anything coming up in the, nothing?
No, I don't know.
30's not worrying you at all?
No, I don't know if it's good friends or having good people around you, but I feel like you can get through everything at that point. If I came to if, I don't know, something happened, or broke my leg, or, my hand got cut off and there was some crisis and I started breaking down.
Wait, so you're worried about breaking your leg and losing your hand?
Yeah. I don't know, something weird, right? I just feel like I would be supported enough to get through it.
Yeah, so no fear of Dad losing his job like your daughter?
No, he's a talented man. We're good.
We're counting on you, Dad.
Buttering me up, yeah. Well, he's not really counting on me. He has no problem with it. You, on the other hand, you definitely seem like you need me to stay employed.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I hope you kids have learned something, that if I'm no longer here, you can do something with your skills. Sarah's saying no way.
mean, just don't die. I'm afraid of you dying.
I'm going to die someday.
I know, and I don't even like thinking about
Look
that.
at Joey D's. He's hoping. Look at it. You don't want me to die, and Joey D's is like, I'm counting the days.
So it says Joe's quiet and doesn't tell BJ anything. He's a hitman, I'm pretty sure. That's from Chris.
They're on to me.
Who knows what Joey D's could be doing? He could be working for the FBI, the CIA. I wouldn't know.
Right?
That'd be awesome. Can I get my own theme music?
Well, I think he just proved that he's not.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Damn.
And so finally, the last millennial we have on the show, Danny V, who, at least if you check off the boxes, Danny's done a lot in his young life. Married, divorced, with a child. I mean, those are a lot of things that he's done.
I mean,
living the American dream.
Yeah, apparently. Well, that's what I was going to say. I feel like I went through a quarter-life crisis without meaning to. Because I didn't like ask for a divorce, but it happened. Like, the divorce happened. I changed jobs, moved from Albuquerque to Seattle.
Which was your hometown.
Yeah.
So you really jumped up and changed your life. Yeah, that could be crisis-driven, sure.
But I didn't ever feel anxious about it or like I needed to change my life. It just kind of all happened when I turned like 28. So there you go.
Are you all worried about your dad, a.k.a. BJ, losing his job as well?
Kind of, no.
Okay.
I have to tell you, though, when I was in my mid-20s, I mean, lots of changes were happening because I got married. Mm-hmm. So when I was 25, I got married. Then not too long after that, I moved away when my wife was pregnant with Joe. And so that changed everything. So maybe I was going through a quarter-life crisis because I was done with the life I had. Couldn't wait to get with my wife and and I didn't want to be with my family. I wanted to be on my own and start a whole new life. So I guess maybe I had it too.
But see, the way you describe that does sound like a crisis. There's a lot of stuff that's going to stress you out and things that are going to be happening. I never understand when people see someone that has like a convertible or like a Corvette and they're like, oh, midlife crisis. What's the crisis? It seems like he's having a pretty good go at things.
You are right. I mean, he's got enough money to buy it, and he's got a smile on his face. I never understood that either, why that's a midlife crisis.
That sounds like midlife fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think more people should strive for that. Do things, take care of yourself, splurge on yourself. I don't understand why we poo-poo it like it's a bad thing.
Well, according to this,
you bought a boat. You must be going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah, what's going on?
Maybe I just like being on the water.
Yeah, maybe I worked really hard to get something I've been saving up for and enjoying in my life.
We have one request by a listener.
Joey D's Nuts.
He just said, why don't you guys play the Joey D's Nuts soundbite when Joey comes on? He's important too, damn it.
I totally forgot about that.
Joey D's Nuts.
You have a theme.
D's Nuts.
How about he forgot that he had his own theme?
Joey D's Nuts.
Taken after his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you are important, son. Yeah. Well, Joey D's always said to me whenever we have conversations, he was not worried about anything. I said, what if you get fired from this job? I'll get another one.
Nice.
I'm like, wow, I wish I had that. So this is what millennials are saying, because half of them are going through this quarter-life crisis. Half of the millennials in this survey.
So what are they doing? What constitutes it being a quarter-life crisis? Are they buying something?
They're not making enough money.
Okay, so they're not buying Corvettes.
But let me just tell you this. And I think this is a real problem.
Are they buying a fidget spinner?
A fidget spinner. Well, they spend more than they earn each month, which means they're relying on their parents racking up debt or both. But I think this is reasonable. And I think a lot of folks get down on millennials going, you know what, you shouldn't spend more than you can. But I went and looked at one of my original tax returns when I was in my 20s. I went because I do every year, and I go back and see how much, how much am I making now compared to then? I know some people right now are starting, if they're lucky, if they're entry level, they're starting between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I have to tell you something. That was pretty much what I was making entry level back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And yet we know the price for things have gone up in those 30-some-odd years.
Here in Seattle, it's about the same to live here as it was back in 1998.
Oh, sure it was, yeah. So, I mean, I can see why if you're a millennial and you're getting the same entry level that somebody like myself in my 50s got when I started out, that's BS. And I don't understand that. I don't understand how a person who comes out of college, who's done a really good job and who's got a brain in their head, how is it that that's all you're making, the same thing that I would? And by the way, I didn't even graduate college, and I was able to pull that down. That's bad for this country. And I don't know what entry-level jobs are now, but I don't think they're much more than 35.
I would think that's about what it is, yeah.
That's not a big increase.
Well, not in this city. You can't afford to live in Seattle, and so then what do? You got to move out of Seattle, but then all of a sudden you're going broke because the gas prices aren't very cheap.
Yeah, dude.
What are we going to do about this?
And a quarter of them say they can't find a good job. So there's money issues. They can't find a good job. Then another quarter of them hate their current job, which was Joey D's problem until he got the job here. And now he really loves life because he's working with his sister and his father. He tried to get away from us when he moved out, and he's working with us. But I remember
he plays on the internet, gets a couple $.
Yeah, sure he does. And then finally, and Sarah touched on this herself before Johnny Rubber's relationship issues.
Oh.
So those are the big three things: being broke and in debt, can't find a good job, hating your job, and then can't find. That's why they're having a quarter-life crisis, most of these millennials.
Somebody said they read an article where millennials are not saving for retirement because they believe that capitalism will not exist when they retire.
What? Well, let's think about that. That's about 40 years from now, 40, maybe 40 to 50 years from now. They really think the capitalism train will be done by then?
Or they're just looking for any excuse to spend their money on their new iMac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it iMac or just Mac?
I don't even know.
iMac is working. Yeah, or MacBook. iMac. I know it's probably it's not.
It's not an iMac.
Mac. It's just a Mac. Yeah.
We all
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
They gave us. No, sorry. I was going to say they gave us way too much credit to be like capitalism is going to be done. I don't save because it's so expensive to live in the city, and it's hard to put money away every month. You know what I mean?
I don't know about you guys, but when you were younger, was there this much stuff to spend money on? I feel like you can literally find excuse like an iPad or a video game or like this, and they're expensive.
Impulse purchases were not as easy to do as they are now. I'll give you that. And you're right. There's a lot more to spend your money on.
I feel like though we had stuff then too, like the boom boxes and there was other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been a gentleman's club. So I mean,
there is that. Yeah.
There's always places to spend your money, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would guess. But it's like you got a $500 iPhone today, and then next year it's the iPhone 2 for $500. Was there like Boombox 2 that you came out where you're like, yes, finally Boombox 2?
Well, much. Yeah. There was the bigger boombox with an alarm system attached to it.
Joey D's, my generation, my generation was the first one that had home computing and console gaming. So yes. Because, yeah. So that's where I was spending all my money on games. And you know how the gaming consoles work. The consoles really aren't the thing that they get you. That's not the big ticket. It's the 30, 40, 50, 60 as the price went up for each game you bought for that console. I was that guy. So I think you're right though. I think it started with that. I think that's what really made oh my God, what are you young people spending all your money on? I think my father's generation, they just drank. They drank a lot of their money away. I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding. And cigarettes and drinking and that kind of stuff, I think, is what they spent their money on.
Huh. Makes sense, because I mean, my money goes
like your phones are like the super expensive phones. When I was younger, I got myself one of those Palm Pilot Trios, and it was $800.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah,
that's brutal.
And when you think of
didn't even have color on that screen,
no.
Yes. Can you imagine we paid that much money for like a black and white, goofy looking screen thing? I mean, that was nowhere near as good as an iPhone.
It looked like a stupid version of a calculator,
and yet we were so happy to get it.
We
were like, this is amazing! I could put an appointment in here.
My fat fingers should type on these tiny keys.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW. .9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. Hey, have you? I want to ask a question. See if anyone's ever done this. I'm trying to think if I've ever done this because I've never really had many dates. Have you ever stood someone up on a date?
Nope.
Anyone ever done this?
No.
I've always gone. If I made plans, there's been times where I really didn't want to go on the date back in the dating days. I was like, why am I? But I was just like, let's just go. And it turns out every time I've ever thought that, I've had a great time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm like that with everything. I don't want to leave my house.
Oh, me too.
Right? But then you do. And Rev, we talked about that just recently where Rev did something where he finally left his home and he had a great time. But at first he didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now he's back in his house.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for now.
Yeah, I mean, I've canceled dates the day of and had to reschedule, but I've never actually stood anybody up.
Yeah, that's got to be, that's a sucky feeling. I don't think it's ever happened to me. And
I've been stood up.
Oh, you have?
In college, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Sat there, waited at Red Lobster, and the chick never showed up. I ate so many of those cheddar biscuits, man. I was so bummed.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I just kept eating them and eating them. Finally, I'm like, fine, I'll just get the Admiral's Feast. It's just a table for one.
Does a booty call count as a date? Because I think I was stood up for that. Like, I was texting the guy after I got off work. I'm like, hey, are we still on for today? And I didn't hear back. And so I assumed we weren't. And then I never heard back from him ever
What
again.
kind of a man stands up a booty call?
Right?
That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Maybe you got another booty call.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh.
Maybe he put out a bunch, like, he went fishing. He threw out a couple lines, see who was going to respond, and then Vicky responded first, like a good person should. And then all of a sudden, the one that he really wanted, no offense, maybe hit him up, and he's like, you know what? I'm going that way. And never even bothered to show you the decency to say he's going to have sex with a different woman other than you.
I mean, like, he could have told me, because we were pretty scheduled. It was always like Saturday nights. I'd come over, and in the morning we'd get Chinese food and donuts, because there's a place.
Great.
Yeah, we'd do it, and I'd leave by noon. It was great. And then I just happened to have a Thursday that worked for both of us, and so I'm like, hey, I can come over on a Thursday too. But I think he might have gotten back together with his ex-girlfriend.
Or his Thursday booty call finally came through.
Yeah, right.
That could have been it too. But I never heard from him ever after that. I think I saw him on a different dating site. And he's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
I can't
whatever.
understand that. Unless you're monogamous in a relationship, why would you ever turn that? See, my brain can't comprehend more than one woman saying yes to sex to me. And that's probably what it is.
There's some guys I've gone out with where it took many years for us to start actually doing stuff. I'm like, well, why did you wait so long? Or why didn't you say yes the first time around? He's like, well, you really wanted to date me. I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't want to be your girlfriend. But in his head, because I was kind of pushing, like, hey, we need to hang out. And by hang out, I mean naked. He thought I wanted to be his girlfriend.
And he was scared of that.
Yes, he didn't want to be in a relationship.
He just wanted to have full-on intercourse.
And I'm just like, we could have been doing this years ago, dude.
So you need to be more direct with your words and go, we need to bang.
Right.
Yeah.
But some guys will still think, like, this is how she's trying to get in. Like, we'll start banging, and then we'll try to get a relationship.
So what you're saying is guys overthink this?
Yes.
Shocking.
Well, but in a guy's defense, there aren't many women like Vicky who will just come out and say, "Here's what's up."
Well, I mean, how much more can she do, though? I mean, maybe you have to whip up a contract.
It's
you
not
have a
her
lawyer
fault.
and a contract there. Like,
yeah, you gotta
understand the
have to.
terms.
Yep.
She's not trying to bait you into a relationship. She just wants to have sex.
So you got to bring our agent, Vicky. You got an agent. Bring your agent to the meetings with the guy. It's my agent. He's got the contract. Just so you know, this isn't anything long term.
It might be the next wave of jobs, like jobs you never thought would exist, is sex agents.
Sex agent. I like that job.
One person's been stood up more times than I can count, and a lot within the last year. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Thinking about quitting the dating game and finally succumbing to the forever alone lifestyle.
I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. It's got to be a guy. Yeah. I just can't imagine women getting stood up so much because, I mean, they have all the power. Because guys usually want to, have fun, and with a woman's the only way you can do that, usually. Unless you're lucky enough to be gay, then you know what? Everybody's on board. They know what's going on. It's... sometimes I'm just thinking, that's not fair that you're wired in a way where you get easy sex. I mean, unless I'm wrong, and maybe it's not as easy as I think it is in the gay community.
I have no idea, but I would imagine that there's drama and there's issues in any kind of relationship.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I'd like to believe that someone's having it better than me because I'm not having it good, right? I mean, no, not in my. I mean, in my dating life, I didn't have it good at all. I hope
you're married. Everything ended up all right. Granted, she's not here.
Exactly.
In another state.
Exactly.
On paper, you're married.
On paper, yeah. On paper, it's great.
I got set up on a man date once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was supposed to be, it was like a bro date. We were going to go to the Guitar Center and we're going to get new strings for our guitars and stuff. And yeah, he never showed up. We made plans and everything. He was supposed to pick me up. It never happened.
So you're just there at Guitar Center waiting?
No, he was like, I was at my house, like looking out the window.
Is this here?
No, it was back in New Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a while back.
He just reminded me, though. I got stood up by a prominent personality. One that you know very well, Steve.
I do?
Yes. I just realized that. I did get stood up on a mandate.
What is going on? Mandates? These aren't...
Well, whatever you call them. I mean, that's what Danny calls them. It was a lunch.
And he never showed up?
Should I mention? I think I should mention the name only because I think I will mention this name.
Shots will be fired.
Here comes the drum.
Here's why, and I want to tell you why.
Who's about to rock?
You're going to love this story.
Fire!
Yeah, and I'm only going to say it because it's only happened one time in my life because they never responded that day, and I texted and emailed and said, "Where the hell are you? What's going on?"
I'm waiting for you. I'm outside your house.
Yeah, I mean nothing.
I brought you flowers.
And I think finally weeks later, it's, oh, hey, yeah, oh. And I'm just like, I don't care how busy you say you are. Well, I mean, really, are you that busy? We both have the same career. Come on, you're not that busy to go, hey, I screwed up and sorry on the day that you screwed up and didn't show up.
Okay.
And here's how it happened. It happened because he was trying to basically, I think he was like trying to apologize for the way he treated you.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Who is this now? Peter Criss?
No.
You went on a mandate with Peter Criss and did not invite me.
I wouldn't be alive if I went on a mandate. I think Peter Criss would just throttle me, and I can't blame him the way I treated him.
Somebody says we all got stood up by Sean Astin.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's very true. He's still waiting for him.
Not me. I wasn't here for that one.
Yeah, he's somewhere outside. He can't get into the building.
Yeah.
We still have never heard back about why that happened, but sorry.
Yeah,
Who's
I
the
know.
guy who stood you up?
Well, he's a fellow radio personality, Luke Burbank.
Oh!
Luke Burbank.
The man who coined the Titanic douche phrase.
Exactly. Shocking. And then he started realizing that you probably weren't as big of a Titanic douche as he thought.
We've talked.
Yeah. Well, geez, I guess he talks to you.
Well, barely.
Yeah.
He was supposed to come on the podcast because, a long time ago, he thought we said some things about him, and it wasn't us. It was someone else that was related to our show, but it wasn't us. And he had such bad issues with us, our podcast, and then he found out that it wasn't us, and he's like, oh, my bad. So I reached out to him because we made those Titanic douche shirts with the silhouette of the Titanic with the logo.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want one of those. And I'm like, sure, man, come on the podcast. He's like, I'd love to. And then I never heard from him again.
See, he stood you up as well.
He stood me up for your mandate. Electronically.
I was sitting at the restaurant, though, just looking like the big loser that you are, though.
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't believe this. And part of me thinks it's like, okay, if anybody listens to the show and sees me at the table looking like I'm waiting for somebody, I just look like a complete loser.
Did you have flowers in your hand and everything?
You know what? That would have just been perfect, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I just was sitting there with a bouquet. And, I think finally there was an email, oh, so sorry, we got to do it again, and nothing's ever happened. And that had to be at least 5 years ago.
And you've never heard it back again?
Never heard back again. And I don't understand that. I don't, because like you said...
It's the Seattle... Dude, it's something that happens a lot. I've been guilty of it, and I'm trying not to be, but we all do this. You see something like, we should grab coffee or lunch sometime. And that just means basically, it's nice to see you. I do like you, but I'm never going to hang out with you.
Yeah.
I've done it. My friends have done it, where I've talked to some people. I'm like, let's grab coffee sometime. And it never happens. And I need to be better about it. I have one of my buddies who I genuinely want to hang out with, and we keep doing that with each other. But we each never really follow through and finish and settle the date and the time to meet up.
What if it's somebody you legitimately don't want to hang out with?
Well, then you just don't hang out. You just say, I'm not...
I just say I don't want to hang out.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, I don't say it that rudely, but I'll just be like, hey, man, I'm just super busy.
I would love it if somebody would say that to me.
I've done that where I'm like, you know what? It's kind of a hectic time for me. I don't know when. And then I just got a message like, hey, how's life going? Still going crazy?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you got to take the hint. I mean, I took the hint. I just feel like Luke wants nothing to do with me.
You still want to hang out. I'm sure.
I know. I mean, I've taken the hint. We haven't had a conversation in 5 years. And there's nothing bad about that. It's just, see, I come from Massachusetts. And so you just tell somebody, dude, look, you're a good dude, but I don't got time to hang out with you. I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be fine. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't like me. I can understand, and there's a lot of reasons why. There are people who I visibly make uncomfortable. I recently went and visited an old building I used to work at and saw some of my radio buddies, and then I saw some other people who, Steve, their looks on their face, it was like Hitler walked in. And I'm like, wow. And you know what? I didn't get along with that person, so I get that they're like, oh, it's like, I visibly caused problems just by being in their field.
That is awesome. I wish I was there to watch that happen.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, I don't need to be, I get it. I'm a lot for people. I'm kind of an intense person, and I can see why some people would want to hang out with me. So just go ahead and say.
Somebody says, I think it's partially the Seattle freeze. People up here are super flaky unless they're fellow Midwesterners. Yeah. I do believe that there is something behind that whole Seattle freeze thing. As silly as a term as that can be.
It's real.
But it is a legit thing. And I think that everyone wants to be nice and polite. And I don't think people's intentions are bad. But I just don't think people know how to say no or, yeah, man, I'm just too busy to hang out.
It's the culture. You're absolutely right. Because, where you and I are from, people don't have a problem saying stuff. Sometimes to the point where they don't shut up and they just don't, they keep butting in on everything, which is the other problem with the East Coast is they never know when to shut up and be discreet.
But on the flip side, don't get all butthurt if someone says they don't want to hang out. Sometimes people do that too. Like I've had times where people invited me to a party. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be able to make it. And you think that's good enough of an answer.
Should be.
And then like, well, why not? And then what do you have going on? And I don't know if they're trying to be conversational or not, but of course I just don't do a very good job of lying. So I'm just like, I just kind of want to hang out at home with my dog and watch some wrestling.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, you'd rather do that than come to my party?
I know. People don't get that.
Yes. Actually, yes, I would. I know that sounds stupid, but yes, I just want to kind of decompress. I'm sorry that it upsets you and offends you that your party's not so awesome that I want to come over, but that's just the case.
I feel like, though, at least in my circles, like it's about the phrasing, because I've told people, like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to go out right now. I need some me time. I hope you have a good time. And I have a lot of friends where I've explained that to them, and they've been really cool with it. And like,
that's
that too. That helps me decompress.
If I can go to your party and I can bring Bob, then yeah.
Right.
And if Bob and I can hang out on your couch, we're great.
Just like, don't mind me.
Well, that would be horrible if somebody just comes over and just goes, well, you know what? I want a little me time. You want to meet at your party, so here's what I do when I'm home.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. How do I figure out who my creditors are?
People a lot of times have had a long time of not having good credit and having collections, and so they're concerned that you may be concerned that you won't be able to find all your creditors if you file bankruptcy. How will I know which collection agency has my credit card bill from 10 years ago now? And that's something that's hard to keep track of because credit collection agencies transfer your debts all over the place. But we will pull all your credit bureaus, and by getting all 3 of your credit bureaus, we'll be able to tell who has your credit and debt now, which collection agencies have had it in the past, and we'll make sure that we file all your creditors when we file your bankruptcy so that nothing slips through the cracks.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com. Thanks for listening.
Today tastes like game day at home, like assigned couch seating, like coffee table dining, and an ice-cold Coke to cool down the heat. Today tastes like watching football is supposed to, and it never tasted this good. Coca-Cola, together tastes better.
Football season is here. That means it's time to load up on some delicious ice-cold Coke. Pick up Coca-Cola today.